Emma had big dreams, but not the means to chase them. Her school tuition fees were rising every year, and asking her mother or biological father for money wasn't an option. Her parents had been divorced for years, and life was tough on all of them. In the middle of this struggle stood her stepfather Mark, quiet, steady Mark, who had never demanded a title or recognition. When Emma's tuition bill came due, Mark did something no one expected. He sold his beloved car to pay her fees. Mark's car wasn't just a vehicle. It was a symbol of his independence and hard work. Giving it up was a huge sacrifice, but he believed education was the key to Emma's future. He wanted to show her that family wasn't only about blood but about loyalty and support. Despite his sacrifice, Emma struggled to accept Mark as family. In her heart, family meant biological connections, people she shared blood with. Mark was kind and generous, but to her, he was still just the stepfather. One evening, Mark sat Emma down and quietly told her about selling the car. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a deep hope. Would Emma see him differently now? Could this sacrifice bridge the gap between them? Emma felt torn. The weight of his sacrifice touched her deeply, yet the walls around her heart were not easy to break down. This was just the beginning of a journey, one where love, trust, and family would be tested in ways she never imagined. Emma couldn't sleep that night. Mark's sacrifice replayed in her mind over and over, selling his prized car just to keep her in school. It was a gesture so big, yet somehow, Emma felt stuck. She wasn't sure why she pushed him away. Maybe it was the years of feeling like an outsider in her own family, the distance between her mother and Mark, or the silent reminders that he wasn't her real dad. Every time Mark tried to get closer, Emma pulled back. The word stepfather felt like a barrier she couldn't cross. To her, family meant biological ties, something Mark didn't have. At school, her friends talked about their dads like superheroes. Emma envied their easy relationships. She felt alone, burdened by the invisible walls she'd built inside herself. But Mark didn't give up. He started small, leaving notes in her room, making her favorite meals and attending every school event no matter how busy he was. Each act was a silent message: I'm here, I care, I'm family. One afternoon, Emma found a note tucked in her textbook. It said, "Sometimes, family isn't about where we come from, but where we choose to belong." The words lingered long after she read them. Maybe, just maybe, Mark was trying to tell her something important. But changing her mind wasn't easy. The past and her fears still weighed heavily on her heart. She wondered if love could really overcome the walls she had built. Could Mark's sacrifice be the key to breaking through? Or would she always see him as the outsider? For now, the question stayed unanswered. But Emma knew one thing. Her life was about to change in ways she never expected. The next morning, Emma woke up with a heavy feeling in her chest. She knew she had to talk to Mark, to be honest about how she felt. But the words seemed stuck in her throat. At breakfast, Mark was already there, sipping coffee and reading the newspaper. His calm presence made Emma nervous. "Mark," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I want to thank you for selling your car to pay my tuition. It means a lot." Mark looked up, his eyes soft but curious. "You don't have to thank me, Emma. I did it because I care about you." Emma took a deep breath. "That's the problem. I don't know if I see you as family. You've been kind, but it's hard for me to forget that you're not my real dad." Mark's face tightened slightly, but he nodded. "I understand. I can't replace your father, and I'm not trying to. I just want to be someone you can trust and count on." The honesty in his voice surprised her. Emma had always thought Mark was trying to take her father's place. But maybe she was wrong. "I've been scared," Emma admitted. Scared of getting hurt, of letting someone in, and then losing them. Mark reached across the table and gently took her hand. "I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I want to build a family with you, not because of blood, but because of love." For the first time, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Maybe family wasn't just about biology after all. Their conversation was just the beginning, but it was a step, a fragile, honest step toward healing. After their heartfelt conversation, something between Emma and Mark began to change. The walls Emma had built around her heart started to crumble, even if only a little. Mark didn't push her. He gave her space but also showed up in small, meaningful ways. He'd leave notes on her door wishing her good luck before exams or bring her favorite coffee after a long day. These gestures felt genuine, not forced. Emma started noticing how Mark worked hard to support the family. He wasn't perfect. He had his flaws and mistakes, but he was consistent. He showed up, paid the bills, and helped with chores around the house. Most importantly, he listened when Emma talked. One Saturday afternoon, Mark invited Emma to help him in the garden. At first, she was reluctant, but as they planted flowers side by side, they laughed and shared stories. Emma began to see Mark not just as her stepfather but as a person, someone with hopes, regrets, and a kind heart. That evening, as they cleaned up, Emma caught Mark watching her with a soft smile. She realized that despite everything, she was starting to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time: acceptance. It wasn't immediate or perfect, but their relationship was growing. Step by step, they were building something new. A family forged by choice and care, not just by blood. Emma still had doubts, and the past sometimes shadowed her, but for the first time, she believed that maybe, just maybe, she could trust Mark to be part of her life. Their journey was far from over, but the distance between them was slowly shrinking. Just as Emma and Mark's relationship began to improve, life threw them an unexpected challenge. One afternoon, Mark came home with a worried look. The company he worked for was downsizing, and he had just been told he might lose his job. Emma could see the stress etched on his face. The same man who had sacrificed so much for her tuition was now facing uncertainty for his own future. The news hit the household hard. Bills needed to be paid, and with Mark's income at risk, Emma feared their fragile progress would shatter. She thought about how her stepfather had sold his car to ensure she could stay in school, and now he might lose his source of income altogether. Despite the uncertainty, Mark stayed strong. He reassured Emma that things would work out. "We'll figure this out together," he said firmly, though Emma sensed the worry beneath his words. Emma, for the first time, felt a deep urge to support him in return. She started looking for part-time jobs, determined to ease his burden even if just a little. Mark, meanwhile, spent long hours applying for new positions, trying to keep hope alive. That week was one of the hardest they had ever faced: tension, sleepless nights, and quiet moments filled with doubt. But amid the struggle, their bond grew stronger. They weren't just stepfather and stepdaughter anymore, they were partners in facing life's storms. Emma realized that family isn't just about sharing good times, but standing together when times get tough. And Mark, despite everything, had never stopped fighting for her. Their journey was far from easy, but now, more than ever, they had a reason to keep moving forward, together. Despite the growing challenges, Emma started to feel a change within herself. She noticed a distance forming, not just between her and Mark, but within herself. The gratitude she once felt was beginning to be tangled with resentment and confusion. One evening, Emma sat alone in her room, scrolling through social media. She saw photos of her friends with their parents, dads who took them to games, moms who cooked their favorite meals, families that seemed perfect. And here she was, living with a man who had sacrificed so much but never truly felt like family. Mark had sold his car to pay her tuition, yes. But the fact remained: he was her stepfather, not her dad. They didn't share a blood bond. Emma wrestled with a storm of emotions: guilt for feeling this way, and anger for not feeling truly accepted. Their conversations became shorter, colder. Mark tried to bridge the gap, but Emma would pull away. She told herself that maybe she didn't owe him her love. After all, he was a stranger who had stepped into her life. The house felt heavy with unspoken words. Mark often wondered if Emma understood how much he cared. He never asked for thanks or affection, only that she recognized his sacrifices. Emma's heart was torn. She wanted to be close but didn't know how. She longed for a father's love but couldn't ignore the truth that Mark wasn't her biological dad. That night, as the silence grew louder, Emma whispered to herself, "He saved me, but he's not family." The following weekend, Mark decided to invite Emma out for a walk in the nearby park. The air was crisp, and the falling leaves painted the path with shades of orange and gold. Mark hoped the calm environment would help open a dialogue between them. Something honest and heart-to-heart. Emma hesitated but agreed to go. As they walked, Mark spoke softly, "Emma, I know things haven't been easy between us. I just want you to know that what I did selling my car to pay for your tuition, I did it because I believe in you." Emma looked at him, searching his eyes. "But it feels like you did it because you had to, not because you wanted to," she replied, her voice trembling. Mark sighed. "It's true that life has forced me into sacrifices I never expected. But you're my family whether or not we share blood." Emma paused, letting the words sink in. Family means more than just sacrifices, Mark. It means love, trust, feeling accepted. I want that too, Mark said, stepping closer. I don't want to just be someone who pays for things. I want to be the person you can count on. For the first time in months, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something real between them. She realized that while Mark wasn't her biological father, his actions spoke louder than any label. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Emma whispered, "Maybe family isn't about blood, after all." Mark smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. This walk was the start of something new, a journey toward understanding, forgiveness, and possibly, love. Days passed, and Emma found herself reflecting on her conversation with Mark. She realized she hadn't truly given him a chance to show who he was beneath the surface. Mark wasn't just the man who sold his car, he was someone who cared deeply, even if he struggled to express it. One afternoon, Emma sat in the library, overwhelmed with her studies and the looming tuition bills. She was trying to figure out how she could manage everything on her own when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Mark. "I know things are tough. If you ever need help, I'm here. No strings attached." Emma stared at the message, surprised. That simple line was a lifeline. She replied, "Thank you, Mark. I'm still sorting through my feelings, but I appreciate you." The next day, at school, Emma faced a difficult test. Nervous and unsure, she suddenly remembered Mark's support. It gave her courage, a reminder that she wasn't entirely alone. That night she studied harder than ever, determined to honor his sacrifice. Meanwhile, Mark quietly reached out to some friends, trying to find additional ways to support Emma's education. He was learning that being family wasn't about controlling her life. It was about empowering her to succeed on her own terms. That week Emma attended a small community event. Mark showed up not as a stranger, but as someone genuinely wanting to be part of her world. Emma's friends noticed the change too. The tension between them had eased. Emma's heart softened. The man who once felt like an outsider was slowly becoming someone she could rely on. Maybe family wasn't about perfect beginnings, it was about the connections you built along the way. As days turned into weeks, Emma and Mark's relationship began to transform. The anger and mistrust that once filled Emma's heart slowly gave way to understanding and forgiveness. Mark had shown her a side she hadn't expected. A man willing to sacrifice and support without expecting anything in return. One evening, Emma invited Mark to join her and some friends for dinner. It was her way of opening up, showing him a piece of her world beyond the hard walls she had built. Mark hesitated but agreed, wanting to be part of her life. At the dinner table, laughter filled the air, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt a genuine connection. Mark shared stories from his youth, revealing struggles and dreams she had never known. Emma saw him not just as her stepfather but as a person who had endured pain and loss. After dinner, Emma and Mark took a walk in the park. She confessed, "I've been so angry because I felt like you weren't really family. But now, I see that family isn't just about blood." Mark smiled softly, "I sold my car because I believe in you, Emma. That's what family does. They stand by each other." Emma's eyes welled with tears. The walls she had built around her heart were breaking down. She realized she didn't have to carry her burdens alone anymore. The next day, Emma called her mother to talk about everything, the sacrifices, the misunderstandings, and the new hope. Her mother was relieved to hear about the growing bond between Emma and Mark. Emma began to plan for her future with renewed confidence. Knowing she had support from unexpected places, the man who once seemed like a stranger was now her greatest ally. Emma stood at the threshold of her future, the weight of past misunderstandings finally lifted from her shoulders. Mark's sacrifice had taught her that family wasn't just defined by blood but by the bonds forged through love and support. Graduation day arrived, and Emma looked radiant in her cap and gown. Mark was there, beaming with pride, along with her mother and friends. As Emma walked across the stage to receive her diploma, she spotted Mark's familiar face in the crowd, his eyes shining with pride. Later, at the celebration, Emma pulled Mark aside. "Thank you for everything. I was wrong to doubt you. You are family, more than I ever realized." Mark chuckled, "We all make mistakes, Emma. What matters is that we learn and grow from them." Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Mark's sacrifice had opened her eyes to what true family really meant: selflessness, forgiveness, and unconditional love. As the night wound down, Emma and Mark talked about her plans for college and beyond. She felt ready to face the challenges ahead. knowing she had a steadfast supporter in Mark. The road hadn't been easy, but through hardship came understanding. Emma's heart had healed, and she looked forward to a future built on trust and love. Her stepfather, once a stranger, was now her greatest champion, a testament to the power of sacrifice and the true meaning of family.